Hello, welcome to Feedback for the week of August 11th, 2010. Just in case you're checking, because I think we've been around for over a year at this juncture. Maybe.
I think you're right.
Yeah, so...
That's scary.
Yeah.
We can check the archives.
Yeah, we'll check the archives. Or you out there who seem to know so many things out there on the internet, make it easy and let us know, just like other people want us to let them know when Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out. We
Tell
don't
us, Adam,
know.
tell us.
We don't know. Kevin, do you know?
I don't know.
Yes, Kevin Kelly is joining us today on our panel. He doesn't know when Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out. Of course, we're being joined by Morgan Webb. Do you know when Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out?
I don't care when Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out.
I don't
You
either.
stole my
Yeah.
answer. Damn.
And, of course, Abby Heppy. Do you have any inkling? If you were to guess.
She took my answer. I was going to say, I don't care.
Yeah, maybe it won't. Have they even promised us Kingdom Hearts 3?
No.
No,
They
we
promised
keep
the
on getting them on the
PSP, DS
portables.
titles, yeah.
You know, maybe it isn't in development.
You are breaking children's hearts.
You know what? Let's create kind of a flat Earth society thing where we're just going to be really rigid in a really kind of just extreme thought. And this is, there is no Kingdom Hearts 3.
Or it could just be like an SNES remake of the original, but all in a dream sequence. But it's really the first game, but everyone's super excited about it.
Yeah. I
On
think
console,
that's it.
nobody cares about. Right.
Yeah. That's what it has to be. So, yeah, we're going to be answering a lot of questions from viewers today. We will not be answering that one. So,
We just did, sort of.
I guess we
kind of
did.
did,
but
actually.
then we took it in a different direction.
True.
And so it was feckin' ground for discussion. What we do have is some interesting news where a lot of the fiscal results of companies came out for their second quarter. And for a lot of them, actually, it was their first quarter of their fiscal year, but it's in the second quarter of the beginning of January 1st to the end of 2010.
You don't need to explain the whole thing. It's baffling.
It's bad. Yeah, it's tough. I worked in banking. It didn't make sense. We're going to start with Activision.
Adam's going to lecture you about finances today, kids.
Exactly. Okay, Activision. Their revenues, their actual revenues, were down by 7%. Now, this is the point. This is the trend we're going to see through a lot of these fiscal results. Their Wii sales were off by 36%. Now, here's the part that's interesting and very unique to Activision. Their online sales exceeded the retail sales for the first time ever. Which, I mean, this is primarily on the back of Modern Warfare 2 map packs, but that's rather significant that you could see, like, the bulk of your revenue for a given year. Bobby Kotick, of course, he has to say something, so he said something. Black Ops will end up being the, quote, biggest investment Activision has ever made in a game.
Not surprised.
Yeah, it's not. It's just, of course, it's impossible to read this stuff without taking it out of having some side message to Infinity Ward. Like,
Right.
Look, my new child is. I'm giving him so many more toys. It's
But it's like Hollywood movies. It's like, is an unlimited budget ever really a good thing?
no. And it's. I mean, this is their most important franchise.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, they need to show that with the absence of Infinity Ward, that they still can have this franchise.
Well,
and
it's
gonna do well
their
for
only
them.
franchise that's making a butt ton of money.
Yeah, except for those Blizzard things. Which
Well,
is,
yeah, but I don't.
That's a
so
separate
separate
situation.
them
I
in
know,
my
I
head
know.
always.
But yeah, it really is.
I think
mean,
they just rolled the lawsuit money into that figure, so that's why they're spending so much on it. So
Oh, that's an interesting.
they're like, "This is our biggest investment." Not by choice.
Notice on our budget, 80% is legal fees. yes, that's what. Now, the other stuff that's coming from Activision that might show that, granted the revenues are only down 7%, but we're looking at Black Ops, Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock, Spider-Man Shadow Dimensions, DJ Hero 2, GoldenEye 007.
For the Wii.
For the Wii. Bloodstone.
Just have to make it seem that much less exciting. Sorry.
Tony Hawk Shred. That hasn't had much profile yet.
No, actually, I was going to say a lot of these games haven't really had much profile. I haven't seen much of Warriors of Rock, DJ Hero 2, and Tony Hawk at all. Like,
Yeah.
those seem to have been kind of put on the back burner. Everything else I've seen a fair amount at various conventions, but those are the three that I haven't. And I love seeing Guitar Hero because I play all of them and I enjoy those. So
Yes, trust
I
me,
would
there's
like
a
to.
song on it that was made for you and only you.
Oh, what would that be?
It was Dave Mustaine made an original song, or maybe Megadeth did, for the game. I saw it
Oh,
played.
just blistering.
Yes. There was just so much
Are we talking like
stuff.
Dragon Force? Like,
Yeah, it
Okay.
was, and it was. I was like, oh wow! And it was like Abby can play this,
maybe. We'll
maybe.
see.
Well, if you can't, then I have to question who can. Okay, look at how many games are coming out for Activision. And this is something that seems to happen year after year, and I've wondered when they're going to decide maybe we shouldn't have this many glut. As diverse as the games may be at year's end, that's just a lot of games.
Yeah, but when
And at
you're
some
one
point
of
they're
the
gonna tread
biggest
on one another.
companies in publishing, you kind of have to have a lot of games.
Yeah,
you
but
would
all at
think.
the same time.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like last year or the year before, they were saying we're going to move things out of the holiday release window because it's too crowded, and I think everyone forgot that because now it's back to a crowded holiday release
Well,
window.
also,
And
I
they,
know
they
that-
work in franchises. I mean, you expect them year after
But
year.
it's not on the same system. But to get a Bond game for my 360 and PS3 and GoldenEye for my Wii, it's kind of the same audience, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean,
look,
GoldenEye, they're going for that nostalgic audience,
Right.
but then they put it on a console that, sort of the more mature gamer is not going to play. They're
Yeah.
looking for that 9, 10, 11-year-old audience with GoldenEye who doesn't have that same nostalgia factor. So I actually kind of find it an odd choice.
I think so too. And when I've seen it, I've kind of wondered, like, well, why can't I just have this as like an XBLA?
Yeah.
Because I
Absolutely.
don't even need the rest of the game.
Yeah.
We pointed out a couple weeks ago, like I don't care about the single player. I remember you go in through the bathroom
There's
and you go
the
into the toilet
satellite.
and then you jump down thing. And there's a big satellite, but I don't care. All I want is that multiplayer. I
Yeah.
just want like a faithful reproduction, or actually maybe not
Maybe-
so much
thank
as a
you.
tweaked reproduction, a tweaked made nicer, better, and that's it.
Well, they
I
went through
don't-
the trouble of getting Daniel Craig's voice. It seemed kind of like overkill for a Wii remake of a old game.
Also, I mean, the thing is, once again, with the single player, if somehow I had no knowledge of GoldenEye and you showed that to me, I would have never thought it was Bond. You could really get anyone to voice
Absolutely.
it. That's kind of British.
yeah.
But I think they're worried. I think they're worried about this game, which means they've got
Yeah.
to get Daniel Craig on it. So
I mean, at the same time, should Tony Hawk be coming out at the end of this year? I mean, Ride was not good. But once
Not
again,
so much with
it
the good.
doesn't help too that
I like how it's like words fail you.
Yeah.
Well,
That
it was,
game was
it
not.
also it was one of two big peripheral
That was a
games.
one,
The
all
other one
right.
being DJ Hero. It's like the economy just isn't showing that people want to just go buy it. I mean, once again, that's the cost of two games.
Yeah.
And you're taking a chance on the quality of this one. So, once again, the other thing that should be coming out at the end of the year, which they will at least be getting a piece of, is World of Warcraft Cataclysm. So,
Yeah.
that probably renders everything moot.
Yeah. And this also probably doesn't factor in StarCraft.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, StarCraft money will, yeah.
I don't think you're going to see that down 7% anymore.
Yeah. It'll be
I
up.
think that's going to go away.
Now,
I think that's
granted-
already old news.
Now, I'm curious. We didn't, probably would have to really go over some of the financials, but, we're only talking about a handful of days of StarCraft should be factored into their Q2 sales, because that game did come out at the very end of July, not the earliest part of August. Am I being wrong?
The game came out. No, it came out late July.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of StarCraft money, but there's so much more waiting
Yeah.
to come. Capcom, this is a tough number.
yeah,
Profits off 90% from the same time last year.
yeah.
I would have to throw that to Street Fighter 4. They had both Street Fighter 4 and I think Resident Evil 5. That might have been actually their first quarter for Street
Did
Fighter
Resident
4.
Evil 5 sell that well?
Well, it didn't
I
sell
don't
that
remember.
badly.
It didn't sell that bad.
I don't know if it was ever
It
really
was up
hanging
on the
on the top
NPDs,
10,
I think.
but
I thought.
Street Fighter did just dandy
Yeah.
for
Right.
them. They
But that
really
was one game.
Now, of course, what they had to try to play with didn't look as strong of a lineup. We had Lost Planet 2, Monster Hunter Try, really? Okay. Ghost Trick, that was only in Japan.
And that's coming out,
coming
though,
here,
for that's coming to the U.S.
The Monster Hunter, they were pushing Monster Hunter. You saw billboards all over the place and commercials.
Because it
tough
does so well in
sell.
It was a
Japan.
tough sell.
I mean, it's doing so well in Japan. Now, here's the thing. Lost Planet 2, in many ways, isn't that far removed from the logic of Monster Hunter. I mean, it is this kind of,
It's true.
Phantasy Star Online type of game that has been doing very, very well in Japan. And I do have to question the logic of thinking that somehow, if it had yet to translate well to the U.S., that, it suddenly would. I mean, both of these games don't seem to have the right incentive to give it the time of play. I mean, I think Japanese players love to get new costumes. I think American players need to see actual experience, something that's a little more material to the improvement of
We
the
want
character.
achievements.
Yeah, achievements also help as well. It's. I mean, granted, they have Dead Rising 2, which I think will, it's got a tough release date. It looks like right now, but it's hopefully that'll pick up. with
I mean,
them.
I'm definitely getting that one.
I guess what's so interesting is that what we saw, with the exception of Super Street Fighter 4, is that Capcom had been doing so well having these Japanese developed games that seemed so designed for a Western audience, and then it was an about face.
Yeah, it went all the way back to more Japanese games not developed for an
Yeah.
American audience, and that's such a weird choice.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, that's been working so well. Let's Well, let's get kind of
let's do
crazy
a-
this year.
Yeah. I'll do a complete 180.
I mean, Kevin, I don't think I've got to talk to you. I mean, have you played much of Monster Hunter or Lost Planet?
I played a lot of Lost Planet 2, but I stopped because the combat sucked. So
Yeah.
I mean, it was like I wanted a fun experience. There's cool stuff in the game. The mech suits you can get in and your buddies can ride on your shoulders, and there's a lot of fun stuff, but it just breaks down in the gameplay, so there was no reason to keep
It is
playing.
funny, and this is not unique to Capcom, though. With the number of games that Capcom puts out, you see it more frequently there, that so many of these Japanese games, it's like, this is such a great idea, and it's like, we're going to go 80% and stop right there, and whatever's in that 20% that should have been worked on is kind of really essential to the enjoyment of the game. I mean, like the AI problems in Dead Rising. It was like, this is, I could have put up with everything else that was so frustrating about that game if I had people that knew how to behave in a zombie apocalypse running behind me. So hopefully they fix that in Dead Rising too.
I would just be happy to see them bring some of their, PS2 titles and stuff like that to either arcade or just re-released with nicer.
Maximo with full camera control and a good
Yeah.
save system. Really, they need to fix that save system. Really, there were save system problems in Capcom, I guess, well before Dead
Yeah,
Rising.
right.
Now that I think
That
about
was the
it.
plan, though. Capcom was supposed to start doing that. Didn't they announce that last year?
I
They were
thought
gonna-
so, and then
Yeah.
I was wondering kind of what's
that
become
might
of it.
that might be what Mega Man Universe is, since no one really seems to know what Mega Man Universe is
I hate Mega Man
and his universe
and his
and the
entire
universe you wrote in on.
universe.
You're like Bill in Left 4 Dead. I hate microphones. I hate feedback. I hate that game.
Okay, let's talk about another big boy, EA. They had a more interesting, so when, not so much just on their overall revenues. Okay, we just talked about how Wii sales were up 36% for Activision. The EA Wii sales are so down. Okay, in 2010, hold on, it was a 40. I'm sorry, I'm reading this wrong. There a $40 million shift from one year to the next in their Wii sales. I don't remember. I can't name any Wii games other than EA Sports Active, but I mean something. There seems to be a trend
That's an
happening.
excellent question. I was like, I don't think I can either.
I mean, there was
actually.
like Carnival games.
Boombox was last year.
Boombox. And
That was last year, yeah.
What a
Yeah.
good game that no one buys, but just throw
Wait,
something.
Wii games that no one buys?
Yeah, I know.
What?
But it was such a
All
good
of them?
Wii game that like no one buys.
Oh.
It probably was an unfortunate
what was-
name.
Did EA do Mad World?
No,
No,
that was
that was
Sega.
Sega.
That was Sega.
All right, I got nothing.
Yeah, we
Sega
got
had a
nothing.
bunch of pretty decent
Anyway,
ones for a
now
but
they
while.
notice there's this interesting trend that's happening that look at the softening of the Wii sales. This is going to lead
Well,
to
everybody
something,
went so
everyone.
gung ho and was like, "Oh, we have to develop for it. It's selling so well." And now,
And now
Yeah.
they realize, the people who have Wiis don't buy games for it, or they have all of the mini games that they need.
no,
feel-
you can always have more mini games.
I feel
Morgan.
a little bit vindicated, actually. I have
Yeah,
to say,
a little
a
bit.
little bit.
It-
You
it's-
think, but the Wii's the future. Casual games are where it's at, and I'm like, okay, there's a place for them, but it's not everything.
Well, it's also casual games. The word casual is a casual fan or a casual consumer of something is not where you want to put all your money into.
Yeah.
You want the,
But-
hey,
and-
I have a caffeine addiction. That's who Starbucks is thinking about.
But that's what's good. I mean, with PS3 and or Sony and Microsoft, I'm so tired. I'm so sorry if I sound totally out of it today. But with Kinect and with Move coming out too, I mean, I wouldn't buy a Wii right now. I'd wait
Yeah.
and just I don't
And
you
you
know
had
I
all
don't
in
care
one
if it's not
package.
everything I wanted. I'm gonna have it for my system. It basically does what the Wii does. I'm gonna get games that are high def. They're gonna look good.
Well, look at most of their titles. They're like ports of the big titles,
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if I want to play that, I'll get a real system to play it on.
yeah.
Okay, we're going to get to more of that when we actually talk about Nintendo in a second. Now, for EA, though, their 360 and PS3 sales did improve. 360 was up 73 million from the previous year, and PS3 sales increased 121 million from the previous year.
Well, they're getting some titles, and I think it's just a
Battlefield.
little bit of people are starting to see. We're going to see some really beautiful games coming out for the PlayStation soon
Yeah, and
when they figure out how to work with the hardware and they get enough resources to really produce something great.
well, also, I mean, Riccatelli's been taking so many on the chin for what he really started to experiment with 2 years ago when we saw Dead Space come out, when we saw Mirror's Edge come out. They didn't sell that well. People thought his desire to make better quality games and ones that were not just, taking a license and beating it into a bloody pulp, more or less the anti-Activision. His shareholders are like, oh, you screwed up. But I mean, hopefully this is a sign that, hey, yes, a lot of this I think is Battlefield. Bad Company 2 really did something for them. But, that it's finally starting to show some fruit. I like to think so. I don't know if he's the best manager of a company ever made, but when he speaks his philosophy outwardly, it's nice to hear that. It is sort of a refreshing anti-Kotick. Also, similar to Activision, digital sales jumped from 124 million to 188 million, and they're expecting 750 million for the fiscal year in their digital sales.
I'm so not surprised. I mean, I think we talked about it last week, but like I'm an impulse buyer. When I get on, when I get in the arcade and on 360 and even on and on PS3 as well, as soon as I get into the store, I'm like, oh, I want that. Oh, it's really not that much. I'm like, $5-10, sure. And then like I get the email that has on, and I'm like, oh,
Morgan, you're not like that at
wow.
all, are you?
I actually don't impulse buy on the
games?
arcade.
Yeah, okay, not on arcade.
No, I'm an enabler. I
Oh, she
enable
just convinces everybody else to do
more
it.
than I purchase.
Yeah,
Yeah.
try it out. Yeah, definitely.
You
try
look great
out.
in that. That's fantastic. You need that.
Yeah,
Wait, you've
kids,
done that to
don't
me.
go shopping in Tokyo with Morgan, especially if you've
that's
had a
what
few
I did.
sakes. I know you.
But
I
do
used to
you
do that
like
with
your
her.
fantastic white jacket?
Yes,
you
I
do.
I love it so much. Yeah, but now I'm frustrated because I don't have internet because I moved and I can't play any of my arcade games. And I downloaded all the Summer of Arcade games, and I still have Limbo and Puzzle Quest, and I can't play anything.
Yeah, because you need that internet connection.
Even though I bought it.
And it's on
I-
your hard drive.
Yeah, I don't
Bought
understand
it.
why it won't let
I
you
think we
play
technically
something on your
borrowed
drive.
it, maybe. I'm sure they have
You're
some.
leasing it.
I'm sorry, but it makes
the way
me
I see
furious.
it, there was always that kid who like had cool toys, and you wanted to hang out with him, less for him, but for his toys. But the problem is when you did, and it was his toys, he got to make the rules. Yeah, that's what it's like.
That was my cousin. She didn't let me touch any of them.
Really?
Yeah, I just had to sit there and watch her play.
Well, Microsoft is less that.
sounds
It's like, no,
horrible.
you can't play now. You can't play now. No. It's like a horrible game of house. So all of this is kind of leading up to Nintendo. Guess what? Maybe there's something consistent in what we saw from Activision and EA. Their profits are off $266 million. So that's showing that something is happening with the Wii. Their shares have fallen 21% over the past 3 months. Last year, their profits fell 60%. And most analysts are expecting it to continue until, God forbid, there's a new Wii or maybe the 3DS. But I think that, as you were saying, the vindication that, and I've been saying this too, that you find a casual audience, and what you then get is a disloyal fan base. Or I don't like saying fan base because I don't think fan is the right word to use in there.
But like any fan base they have, I think this could be a good thing. Hopefully they put some money away from all that money they made and put some safely in the bank, and they're going to say, hey, maybe we should release Zelda. Maybe we should release some of those games that the real fans have been waiting for and waiting for and waiting
Maybe we
for.
should fund more of them because I
They
mean,
do
it's
that.
great
like one a
first
year.
party titles.
I know.
Great first party titles, but what do we see? We see none. We don't see any of them. So, I don't really feel bad for them.
No.
want more.
I mean, I honestly, and I used to ask Reggie this question time and time again. That I've always felt that not that we should be expensive, but by selling it at such a cheap price. And there was a study done. An average income of console owners, highest average income was the Wii, despite the fact it's the cheapest console. One way of looking at that is, well, that's an impulse buy. $200. Okay, I'll get that. And if you impulse buy a system, you're not thinking about the investment you're making, about all the games you want to play down the line. You bought it, you want to play some Wii Sports, your friends come over, a few months later, you moved on to something else.
It doesn't say in here, but it would have been interesting to see how their digital downloads fare.
Do they still have them?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is I've always they do.
Yeah.
You could.
I don't know if I've ever purchased something off that. I mean, I must
I have. I purchased Echo the Dolphin, and
which is
purchased,
also available on Xbox.
It wasn't
or
at the time. Shut up.
PlayStation. I'm like,
I got
I
down
have
Super
that. I
Mario
think
World.
It's
like-
on Xbox.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I downloaded Super Mario World, and there was a couple other retro titles that I was like, oh, I loved playing this when I was a
Yeah.
kid, so I downloaded, but I haven't touched them in a very long
Yeah.
time.
I
feel
get mad when I
it's
have to
probably
turn my Wii on.
negligible.
Yeah.
They didn't mention it in any of the reports, so
Yeah.
I feel like it's
It's probably
Dropping
Right.
almost
in their
nothing.
vast
Well, there's
bucket of
just
cash.
it's honestly not as friendly.
Oh, no,
as,
it's not. I mean,
as PSN
it allows
or
you to
as
think
Xbox
about
Live.
your purchase so you can have
Yeah.
second thoughts.
Am I
Never let me
sure
think.
you want
Don't
to
ask me
if
three
I
times
enter
if
in
I want to
something
buy that.
wrong, it clears all the fields.
Yeah.
I'm like, do I feel like, I'm moving on to something?
Oh, have you ever done that and then not bought something because it
Yes.
cleared
Yeah,
it, and then you're like,
absolutely.
well, I
Of
don't
course.
feel like
You're
doing
like,
that
well, forget
again.
it.
I'm so lazy.
Yeah. No, it's just like
Please store my credit
you're
card
sitting there
information
with
and do it
all your
automatically.
little- it's a pain.
Okay, let's talk about this because obviously analysts are saying talk about a new Wii, not that they know anything. I mean, is there one? I keep on wondering, could a new Wii, assuming it's a Wii and it has motion control, can they even really win us over again? I mean, I just feel like they had us so excited at the beginning, really didn't deliver, then continued to undeliver, that just by saying, okay, we got Wii in high def, I've seen...
Are you doubting the magic of Nintendo?
Yes.
That
I mean-
he who had his mind blown by the 3DS.
Oh, I
at
love the
E3.
3DS. I love the 3DS.
I'm just saying, what if they have a surprise thing that none of us thought about and it's super awesome? And I'm just throwing this out there as the
The
devil's
3D
advocate
Wii?
on the other side of we're all trashing it.
If you think about it, they have the components right now to make the new Wii.
Mm-hmm.
They put out a Wii with motion that comes with Motion Plus. They put out one that has a huge storage device attached, so you don't have to use your little
storage,
SD cards.
everything, yeah.
HD.
They know what they
exactly.
need to do.
DVD.
Well,
But I would like to see them
if
do
they
that
did
and
just
something
that,
magical on top of it.
If they did just that, they just did all those things that we wish we had with the first Wii, would that be enough?
I would not buy one.
Yeah, or do they need to cross that threshold? Like, I don't know, I put something on my tongue and now I have a third controller. That is a terrifying idea.
That's what you went for first?
Oh, they have a vitality
I know, I was
sensor.
thinking
I
about
mean,
that,
there's
that Ubisoft-
Yeah, we got to incorporate that first before we jump to the top.
I mean, it would be great if they did that, but I think there's going to be a lot more skepticism the second time around, and just as there was until we finally saw the 3DS.
Yeah.
It was like,
Plus, the market's so saturated, everybody has a Wii practically, and they're
Yeah.
not going to buy another one.
yeah,
Unless
that's the
it's
other thing. That
super
casual
Gotta
market.
do something else.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not. You know,
So-
I can see Super Mario Galaxy in HD. It's gonna look so different.
In 3D.
Oh, in 3D HD. Yeah.
That's three
Oh.
H's.
It's
And
still
For some of those sequences, I think that would be vomit-inducing. Yeah, when you're on Yoshi's back going fast. Yeah. Okay, well, that's the end of our financial section of today's feedback.
Thank you, Banker Adam.
I hope you were all edified. I hope I'm as good as that Mad Money guy. No,
No, you don't.
No, you don't wanna be
you don't want to be
complete
like
putz.
him at
He's a
all.
complete
he
putz.
didn't smash anything.
No.
Yeah. Remember when Lou Dobbs actually was really into the finance stuff before he just made a
yeah,
career out
God.
of hating Mexicans? Yeah, he's good. Way to go, Lou. Moving on to Arkham Asylum 2. We knew this game was coming. They had a teaser trailer come out, 2 weeks after Arkham Asylum launched?
Yeah, they had the trailer that came out at the very, very end of last year, but it didn't show.
It just showed the Joker.
I mean, yeah.
But all of us remarked, I remember on this show, how remarkable. An obvious decision to have a sequel to a successful game announced in a reasonable amount of time after the first game. I mean, Hollywood does this all the time, and we're like, wow. So
Now,
now
if you're going to do that, though, you're stuck with having no information about the game that you haven't really
Right.
made yet for the next, year or two.
I just think it's that shell game. It's like, oh, we're not going to say if Gears of War 3's coming
No,
out.
I mean that stuff is always ridiculous. I'm not saying if we're making a Resistance 3. I'm just saying, I mean, it's like, okay.
Another
Yeah.
Halo game?
No way.
just
This
under
has
wraps.
not been officially announced, you guys. I don't think we should say it.
This when you get the coy answer, or like you get the dev who's like, "I'm so sick and tired of having to lie to you," or just look like it's like, "Yo, I'm not doing anything right now. I'm just not working it all on anything." But it's not called Arkham Asylum 2, which is good. It's called Batman Arkham City because I think all of us had said, "Okay, where does the game go?"
Yeah.
And we thought, okay, it goes to Gotham. And it looks like they found a way of having Arkham in Gotham because there's a jail in the middle. It would be great if they had like a backstory video to show the really bad municipal planner who says, let's put the jail in the middle of the city. I got a great idea.
Just don't tell the inmates where the wall with the weak structure is that they, in the courtyard.
We don't know a ton. We know that Joker's back, but now we'll get Mr. Freeze and we'll get Catwoman. I guess the only thing that I don't know how sensitive they were to, I think what a lot of us said when playing Batman Arkham Asylum, that when you found those great cards about these really obscure Batman characters, I then was like, oh, I kind of want them to be in the game. Like,
Yeah.
At the time you saw Clayface, it's like, ooh, I get to fight Clay. Oh, I didn't get to
No,
fight
you didn't get to
Clayface.
fight Clayface.
Or the Riddler, who you hear the whole time, but you never see him,
See, how do you fight the Riddler?
with a book of answers.
I think
Yeah.
just by ignoring him. He literally is that kid on the schoolyard. Just ignore him.
Eventually, he'll get the hint.
Yeah.
This wasn't in here, but there was... Yesterday, the story came out that apparently they hid a secret room in the first game. And if you found it, it was it was a wall you could break down with explodable foam, but you had to put several applications on. If you used Batvision, you couldn't tell it was a wall that could be broken down. If you got into that room, there was a map of Arkham City laid out, and it was hinting at that there was going to be a sequel. And the game developer was like, we're pretty shocked no one had found this.
So what you're
Ah,
saying
son
is...
of a
Okay, hold on. Let's go back through this.
Find stuff like that. I mean, like, okay, the original Zelda, there were all
That's
these...
to say you could bomb
Yeah.
every freaking wall.
Everything,
And
you
you would
just
go
sat
around
and went
doing
bomb,
that.
bomb, 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 bomb.
But I don't find that stuff is as hidden in video games anymore as it used
Yeah,
to be.
no, they
and so
didn't.
I don't search for it like I used to. Like, it was easy to go from Zelda, even through the years, to going to play like Wolfenstein, because you knew you were going to sit next to every wall and click because you wanted to see if it opened up into a secret passageway, or like Quake and Doom and that hidden secrets thing. And I just, like, you don't see it in games like it really used to be. And I always loved that, but it's made me a dumber gamer. Like, I swear to God, I'm stupider now because I don't even think of half of those things, because I'm not constantly just trying to break apart every little piece of the game.
Although maybe you're focusing more on actually the game and playing the game versus bombing every single,
That's true.
It is less
vertical
fun.
surface.
I mean,
It
it
is,
is
no,
less
I-
fun to play a game that way.
You know,
It gets kind of frustrating when you're like, when you know I'm never going to get all of the stuff or all the upgrades unless I sit and bomb every wall. Like, sometimes it's actually not that fun.
Well, you can spend
No,
an entire
it's-
afternoon achieving
this
nothing.
fits that nice obsessive compulsive.
yeah.
But the
like,
idea is that so you can't see it with bat vision, and you're using more explosives than you've ever used on a wall at any other time in the course of the game.
So how
I think I know why no one found it.
am I supposed to find that?
We're shocked that
I'm
no one
just throwing
found
it out
this.
there.
Written backwards in Hindu.
Well, of course, now I'm sure that people are doing that to every single
And
wall.
now people are going to go back in the game, and I guess it's a boon for them because they're like, hey, we're going to get more people back in the game and maybe sell more copies or the deal.
that's a good
Well,
idea.
well,
Everybody
the-
should do that, and then you can totally boost
You should put
your
out a
sales
title
and-
update and then say like, oh yeah, this was in there since the beginning. What, you didn't find it?
Just a
It
regular
sounds
patch. Pay no
encouraging,
attention to the
though.
man behind the curtain.
If they were already thinking about Arkham City when they were making Arkham Asylum, then I think I was wondering. It's like
That's great.
Arkham was such a surprise, and there's going to be a lot of eyeballs, like Bioshock level eyeballs on this sequel, that if they've already been, fermenting ideas about what to do, I think that's good rather than,
Well, that's awesome.
yeah. So, yay. It's not coming out till the end of next year, so, anyway.
So thank you for getting your hopes up, and we'll see you next year.
Okay, Black Ops. They finally showed a little bit of multiplayer. They didn't explain anything. They showed things.
Yay.
Abby, we look to you at these moments.
I'm so excited about an in-game video editor. So excited. So thank God. It's about time.
Anybody who works on G4 loves it when they allow you to do that. Because
Absolutely.
you know what? You just allowed for us to make our work so much easier. So Treyarch, I've always thought you're great guys, and now you have a warm place in my heart. Those other things they have. Crossbow with exploding arrows. We actually saw that in some of the single player.
I saw that in Gears of War. It's called a
Yeah.
torque bow.
Yes. Torque bow tag. There's a remote control C4 car. Deadpool, anyone? Huh?
Well, Rage it's in Rage too. Remember
Yep,
the little
that
car
was
you
in
could ride
Rage.
in Rage?
It's
Rage.
also it's
Far
also
better
my,
than
great
the
idea
Deadpool.
down.
it's also my favorite tactic in Battlefield. Just throw C4 onto everything, onto every vehicle, and just go into enemy bases.
I like this one. Dual knives. Why not?
Oh, okay, that one though.
Because a regular knife doesn't kill you enough. You
No,
need
no.
one more to just really make sure.
I actually would have no problem if they removed knives from there altogether.
I
like,
agree.
no. I actually, well, it was funny because I did an interview with a Green Beret, and he was saying like I'd use my knife to open a box in combat. But like, I don't like it. I'm sorry. I like shooting things with guns. I get annoyed when people have their stupid runny stabby classes in Modern Warfare, and hopefully they've rebalanced a lot of things. And I'm just kind of, I haven't played it. I don't know, and hopefully they've fixed things that are wrong. But I'm not excited about that. I don't care. Screw knives. I like the throwing knife. Throwing knife, I'm down with.
I
Then you
can
could
see
do
knives as
Assassin's
single
moves
player.
like this.
Then I would play Assassin's Creed. Which I did.
But how much drool was in your mouth when you watched this? I mean, were you? I wanted this to play this so bad when I
Oh no,
watched this
I'm
trailer.
not excited at all.
She falls over.
No, was there any
No.
was there any insight you gleaned from the video that made you think that of any changes that had been done to the more fundamental gameplay of the multiplayer?
Yeah, I mean, if you're adding any of that stuff in, that's a complete rebalancing, and you have to completely rethink how you play it all together. So that'll be interesting.
All right.
Stop
Multiplayer
looking at
Maven.
me.
Yeah, we're all looking at you. All right.
It's the video editing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You could.
And if you haven't,
That's all I've wanted.
yeah, no, and it's
Bungie has been so far ahead of the curve in putting that kind of stuff into their games, and I've just been waiting for everybody else to pick up the slack and just put it in.
It does seem weird it's taken people so long. I mean, the amount of viral attention that Halo gets because you can do that
it's a good point.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. The way that multiplayer and the way that shooters evolve and everything, the way that I feel like everybody wants to do it is like, well, now we have this really cool tech, or we have this really cool gadget, and we've added dual knives, and I'm like, I'm happy. I was happy when shooters were like super simple, It's not the adding the tech. It's not the adding the frills and stuff. It's stuff like an in-game video editor so that I can
Abby,
show people things.
2 knives are twice as good.
Yeah.
Twice as good or-
Yeah.
Did the
Two's
purchase of
better than
Bungie help
one.
with that? Do you think? Like Activision picked up Bungie. Now this technology is working its way. I mean, it seems sort of quick for that.
I can
to
only
happen.
imagine that technology is very, very, very difficult to implement.
Yeah.
Maybe it did. I don't know, but it seems a little soon.
Yeah,
I,
this
you know,
is gonna be too quick.
I've gone back and forth. I mean, Bungie very much still seems to function in a lot of that PC mentality, where like just giving the kits to the fans out there. That maybe it's more or less just people getting back on board with what people would like out of the game. That the more you give your fans these things like that, and that some devs I've noticed don't want to. Sharing's not their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just giving you the game and going, okay, look, we did it. Bye. See you later. I want to talk a little bit about Kinect. There's a couple Kinect stories. Apparently, there is a patent that was found with regard to Kinect that's implying that it will be able to recognize American Sign Language,
That is awesome.
which I want to believe this.
I hope
really
it's true.
want to believe
I
this.
do too. I think that's awesome.
I feel like they will have. Well, they'll say that it recognizes sign language,
See-
and it's not really going to.
Remember when is it Kataragi? Have I forgotten already? Is that his last name? Mr. PlayStation.
Ken.
yeah.
Yeah,
Kutaragi?
Kutaragi.
You
There we
just
go.
are
I
noticing
said
it slightly
Kataragi.
off.
He was saying that the PS3 could cure cancer, and then we were like, oh, it can be used to help, do that
Right. It was.
processing stuff.
Well, that was a stretch, and that was a.
No, once again, this has
Sounds
not
like
been
a
said
headline.
by Microsoft formally. They have not made these
Right.
pronouncements, but they also are saying that it has very, very subtle detection of facial motions, and it can read each hand, forearm, elbow, bicep, torso, and all this, the fingers and toes.
That would be awesome, and if it can do
fingers
that,
are like-
they should announce that now. Because so far, all the system's done is discriminate against people, as we know.
I feel like like it's so hard to track people's hands. Like these systems that actually track people's hands will put like colored tape on each finger so that I can actually tell what people are doing with their hands. Because
Morgan, you're gonna have to wear the suit with all the little tracking balls on it.
hey, that is a sexy
Oh
outfit.
yeah.
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 I mean, it's one of those.
That I refuse to wear.
I don't know. I mean, who knows what the patent's really about, why they're saying it. Look, what's interesting is this is yet another example of the fact that there are some very interesting things in this technology.
Yeah.
Okay, you're the dev. Someone said, hey, we can have this down to this level of subtlety. What do? What is a game that benefits from something that subtle that would actually be fun to play? I mean, it's my continuing problem with Kinect that here's some
Typing
great
of
tech
the
without
damned
anyone
with
asking
sign
for it.
language to teach people sign language.
You'll see that once again. I see incredible educational and therapeutic stuff coming out of
Right.
Kinect. I don't see any games. And if someone wants to use this tech to help people with Parkinson's or something like that, please do that.
Or
But
teach you sign language,
Or
for
teach you
example.
sign
There's a lot of
language.
educational
Yeah.
things.
That's the
you
thing,
can think
typing
of.
of the damned, but with sign
Yeah.
language, and then you have to
so
do the thing.
this goes into Molyneux finally talking a little bit more about Milo. Milo is the boy that lives in your TV that creeps everyone
Right.
out, but still kind of amazes them when they
I
see
didn't
it.
find him that creepy. He was very earnest.
Yeah, I guess as an older man, there's just things you're not supposed to do, and it's not having conversations with young boys you don't know out of the presence of their parents.
But
and it was
they seem
realistic
to be
enough to
very
give me that
aware.
sense of discomfort.
They seem to be very aware of that.
Molyneux
though.
is the guy who's just like, I know it's uncomfortable. What does that say about you? What does that say about society?
Let's touch.
Let's explore this.
It says that you creep me out, Pete. That's what it is. He's been just kind of implying, like, hey, who are you? Give me some hints of who you might be in your relationship to Milo. He's once again calling it potential. And he says there's a lot of huge mountains to climb before that happens. I think this ties in with what we were just talking about with the tech is, look, there's potential here. And if Peter Molyneux, who really was one who blew everyone away 2 years ago, is still like, I don't know where to go. I mean, I think it's going to be a while before we see what Kinect has.
I think he can probably come up with ideas, but then it's like trying to get those ideas funded. Like you can probably think of some really fun ideas for the Wii, but what did we get? We got a whole lot of shovelware. Why?
Yeah. Because it's easier to make
'Cause it's
shovelware. It's
easy.
cheaper to make shovelware. And I don't know. How well does me and my boy, let's just call it that for a second, would that sell? I mean, yes.
Me and my 18-year-old
It can be
girl
such
would
an
probably
im-
sell very well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, oh boy.
Me and my anime pillow.
Can we just have
the
a
game.
quick moment of like, ooh.
There's more of those moments to come. So
So we were going to get to the sixth story, but I'm going to go ahead and hold off. We're going to do this next week because you're going to explain your love of Torchlight. and Torchlight 2 is coming out and makes you a happy man.
Yes, Torchlight 2 was just announced. I'm so excited. Has anyone played
Yeah,
Torchlight?
it's
I
pretty
haven't
good.
actually.
Oh, it's so good. Oh my god.
Sell me.
You have to play it.
Okay.
Morgan, I think you would like it.
If Pixar made Diablo, that's what Torchlight is. It is cute and fun and awesome, but yet gory and dark and disturbing. I don't know if it's
All
disturbing.
right.
It is disturbing. There's some disturbing stuff in there. You have an in-game pet. It's with you all the time. You can feed him different fish. Different fish turn him into different creatures. If you want him to be like a glooper jelly, which is the name of like a puddle of goo that follows you around, you feed him this special fish, and that's what he turns into.
See, now we're talking
It's-
about this week anyway.
Yeah, we are talking about it. But we're going to talk more about Torchlight 2 next week.
So play Torchlight now, and then we'll
if-
talk about the sequel.
You'll learn more about Goo, because I want to get to, because there's no Game of the Week this week. You know why? There's no freaking games
There's
this week.
nothing, I know.
I thought maybe we could talk about Harmony of
Castlevania,
Demand.
Harmony of Despair.
Yeah.
Aria of
except
Sorrow.
Symphony of
it's
Night
Symphony of
of
Sorrow.
Despair.
We'll just table that one because anyway. But we want to answer questions from you. It's called feedback. We're going to feed you back. It's like you fed us and we're giving you some of the
Don't make it gross.
regurgitated.
Okay, yeah.
There we go. Oh, that's not
Anyway.
about birds.
You're
That's
gonna
how they
baby
do.
bird 'em?
Baby bird 'em.
Just-
we're going to call this
Nice.
baby bird. Okay, we have a Connect question here from Tara Lost. If you suddenly had control of the Microsoft's Connect branch of software development, what would you want to see developed for the hardware?
I thought you were going first.
I just read this for the first time. Any thoughts, anyone here?
something that's hardcore in some way. I mean, there's everything is
That's fun to play.
fun to play and hardcore, and not just where you're swatting at a giant red ball or something on the screen. I mean, they've hinted about the Star Wars title that's coming, but we don't know anything about it. I'm
See,
just,
if this was Move, I would say lightsaber game. But
Yeah.
when I play my lightsaber game, I want to hold something in my hand. I think that I want
don't
that
want
to
it to
Yeah,
help
yeah, you need that.
foster the fantasy.
You also you get tired after a while, like not holding something. So
Yeah, I mean, I talk with my hands a lot, but Kinect's asking me to do too much. Like, at some point during my day, I go like, I can't talk like that anymore.
I mean, I think we saw this with the Wii, where sort of the initial controllers didn't have enough nuance to give anybody sort of a subtle, more hardcore, difficult experience. I think we're going to see the same thing with Kinect. Like, I just don't think it's going to be nuanced enough.
I don't know what I want.
What do you want?
Well, aside from all the Star Wars stuff, no. Okay, so we've talked about like the whole Minority Report thing, and then going
Yeah.
through like the menus and stuff, which is cool. But like, I like the idea if I went to a console in like Mass Effect 3, that I could like boop and like I was totally in space and future technology and like go through the computer, like that kind of like hacking
yeah.
stuff. I would kill for that.
Steel
That would
Battalion.
be awesome.
Steel Battalion.
Yeah, no
Give
need
me
to
Steel
buy a
Battalion
giant
on my
controller.
Kinect. Where it's like, I'm calling out stuff. I don't ever have to even pull anything, but I'm able to at least pretend like I'm touching things on my screen.
Yeah.
And I just want to do the flip, flip, flip,
Yes!
flip, flip. That's just so cool.
I know, and I want to,
and then you don't have a giant $300
You can already-
controller crammed in your closet that you're
Yeah.
never going to use
Right.
again.
And then I've mentioned it before in here. I want to be able to like if I'm playing Battlefield or Modern Warfare or something. And somebody sends me, one of my friends has a message like, oh, invite me or something. I would love to be able to just voice do all
Yeah.
that stuff through the menus. Just say like, hey, send message. We'll pick you up in 5 minutes. Like. That would be tough because you're in game chat or out of game chat or party chat. Like that would probably be a pain in the ass. I think you could probably do that anyway with the headset.
But that's an
would-
interesting
yeah.
point. Can those
Pain in the
games
butt.
can games work with Kinect? Like if I'm playing a AAA title that has some sort of Kinect functionality built in, can they
but
work?
you have
like
Kinect
I've got a
hooked up, but it's
controller
not
here,
a
but I
Kinect
do
game
yeah.
to the. I don't know.
I mean, it's there. It's turned on.
I mean, that's how I would love to play some squad-based games. Like just issue commands.
Well, yeah,
Well, there
we
was that-
saw that a
Just
little bit.
Yeah.
last
Flank left.
year.
Or do the whole,
And
you
now
know,
I
the
can't
whole
remember the
classic.
name of the Tom Clancy's
Tom Clancy's.
RTS game
I know.
on the console.
Oh,
And
I
War.
talked-
And
War.
Thank War.
I'm like, I did
And
that.
that was
with
really
that
cool.
game. I
Tom
played that.
Clancy's
That was really cool.
Friends.
It was a good game, and it
Yeah.
actually worked very well. I mean, but that's just going to be a sort of any sort of Kinect thing would just be sort of an add-on to that general
But for
voice
you
command
play-
concept, which is not Kinect specific.
You play RTS games, and couldn't you sort of imagine having that like war room? Like, here's the map, and you tell like all right, men, we're going over here, and then we're gonna go.
and
this
wouldn't it
way,
be
and,
great
like-
to do that with a mouse?
Yeah, shut up.
Or you do like a multiplayer game where you really have a proper general that's using Kinect. Everyone else is using their controllers, and you're just calling in like ammo drops or something like that. You have
Which
a
would also
completely
be
different-
easier with a mouse.
Yeah, you're right.
And I always think I want to talk to the speak instead of, but when you're on the phone and it's like, you punch in or say you're blah, blah, blah. And I feel so stupid talking to the computer that I
Yeah.
just end up punching it
And
in.
late at night, I live in an apartment building still, and it's like I know they can hear my game, but at least they know that there's a rumble and something like that. They start hearing a man playing.
Stab
like,
him, kill him,
it's
follow
like,
him down the
look,
hallway.
It's like some weird update of War Games, and it's like no.
That actually is what
Unit
it
2,
sounds like
advanced.
in my
Yeah.
apartment. Yeah, but that's what it sounds like because I
Welcome
mean,
back,
I tend to
Adam.
play cooperative mode, so I'm always going to be like, all right, you guys head off to B cap point. We're going to come around here. Like, yeah, my neighbors think I control small little armies in my apartment.
And you do.
And I do.
Let's read a question from S. Darkspire. It seems to me that gaming goes through fads and phases, like people. Do you see any signs that point towards what the next big thing in gaming is going to be?
Well, we'd been seeing the trend of the hybrids of shooters and art. It's not new, but there's certainly been
Yeah.
a lot of them. The hybrid RPG shooter stuff.
I
And
like
talking
those.
about how like more game genres will combine to form even more.
I mean, are you having? It's harder for me to use genre titles, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What do you call Assassin's Creed? It's like action adventure. That seems like you're selling it a little short.
Yeah,
really
but like
feel like
open
an
world
adventure
with
so much.
different-
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it adventure.
Narrative heavy historical drama simulator.
Oh my god, you're getting as bad as the
Simulator.
Netflix things.
I mean, we're seeing that blending. Now we have obviously the two obvious trends we're seeing right now: 3D and motion control.
Yeah.
But once again, we don't know if they're actually going to pan out.
I don't even think 3D is a trend.
Yeah, I don't
3D is
either.
just like a feature that no one's going to use, and they feel they need to
Yeah,
put
the
it on the
industry
box.
wants it to
Or
be a
something
trend.
that's
Because
an
Sony
unavoidable-
is trying to. I don't
Sell
think it's
TVs.
I think Sony is trying to get everyone to think that it's unavoidable, so that they will pony up for the televisions, which they also happen to be selling.
Yeah, but I mean, even with the movie theater, I just feel like it's
You know,
it's
you know what?
happening.
They're
It
trying to
reminds
do
me
it.
of the
TVs, I
late
feel like.
80s and Pine Nuts,
I think
where like they
unavoidable.
couldn't have a damn
Bad day.
meal without Pine Nuts being involved.
And then it was sun-dried tomatoes.
And then over time, I began to realize I don't think everyone wants Pine Nuts. Someone else decided to give us Pine
Well, no,
Nuts.
it's because I think people thought
What
they were
the
expensive.
I turned to Morgan for an aside, and I came back, and you're talking about pine nuts, and I don't understand
3D
what's
is like
going on.
Pine Nuts in 80s cuisine. That's what I'm saying.
Because it went to sun-dried tomatoes, and now
Yeah.
it's heirloom tomatoes.
Sun-dried tomatoes. I just gotta say.
I like pine nuts and pesto.
I had
Okay,
sun-dried tomatoes in
here's-
my sandwich this
here's-
morning. It was
here's,
awful.
Here's a side thing. I worked in a kitchen
Totally
when I lived
off
in
to the
London.
side.
I was working in this kitchen, and in the morning, I had to chop up so many sun-dried tomatoes that have been marinating in oil. Do you know how hard it is to chop those damn things? They're slippery. It was a horrible experience working in that kitchen. It was called Aroma Cafe, and they're bankrupt now. Ha ha! To the couple of British viewers that know what I'm talking about.
I smell a new cooking, Mama.
Oh, that's Cooking
And he
host.
brings it right back around to video games. I like
to the
it.
win.
You know what? I want to take this one on, Morgan.
Yeah.
This is not. I'm not choosing this one because I'm going to direct it at you because I just see these types of comments all the time. Is StarCraft 2 really that amazing?
Yes.
All they have done is update
is.
StarCraft 1 so it has better graphics and a better story, but all the races, units, and gameplay elements are the same. Can you call the sequel better when it looks better and plays the same way? Now, here's what's confusing: is that we know they've done so many changes for it. This guy's implying he hasn't played the game and is just sort of
No,
made
I
this
mean, the
judgment.
thing is, like, this guy has not played StarCraft 2, which is fine. I get it. It's an expensive game, and
Yeah, I understand
that's
that.
fine. I understand it. But I almost don't have anything to say to him other than, like, you didn't play it, and you don't know, and
I mean, is it?
read my review.
Abby, you're a little
Boy,
Nice
younger.
person.
Too. What?
I mean,
no,
it's,
I'm
just,
not.
it's this pervasive need to just assume the worst or go for the negative without even having the evidence in front of you.
Oh, so they've met us. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're cynical. That is totally fair that we're cynical.
But it is just it's interesting. It's like clearly this guy has heard a lot of people say how good StarCraft 2 is and just refuses to accept that fact.
Yeah, it's weird. You see it in the comments on reviews a lot, where somebody will be like, "Oh, I can't believe you gave this score to get this," and you're like, but like they'll say something in the thing that they haven't played it, and it's like, how do you know? I have games that I think are gonna be good, and I get really excited about them, and sometimes I'm disappointed, and sometimes I'm validated, but and it's awesome, but. If somebody's telling me it's one way or the other, I try to, know what I'm talking about before I argue it with them.
Well, the single player campaign alone is worth the price of admission. So
That's a very strong statement given how
It is.
usually weak single player campaigns are in RTSs.
it absolutely is. So I mean, even without multiplayer, even if the units were all the same, even if that were all true, the single player alone is worth playing.
Yeah,
so.
it's a quantum leap above the last game. I've been playing a lot of the old game to get ready for this.
Which it really had to be, given the fact it's been 12 years.
yeah,
of course.
it has been a generation.
But it
Well,
sounds
also,
like it's redefined in RTS. It's shown the potential in it.
But it was sort of in that single player. But it also, RTSs are kind of RTSs. It's a very defined genre. You don't necessarily want to rewrite the whole thing, And they had a good thing going. You don't want to throw that out the window. So
But
Yeah,
they found a
I
clever way to
guess-
address those. Some of those missions are just
some of the missions are
super
great.
cool. Yeah, it's stuff you would never think you'd be doing in an RTS game.
Totally.
But it's also, I just did my soapbox on this where I was, explaining, I've said many times on feedback, there seems to be hardcore gamers' fear of change. They turn into people worried about what's happening to their Medicare. And, I was using Madden as an example, which we will be talking about next week, and that there seems to always be this, it's too the same, or how dare you make that change? That I would hate to be at a developer who's actually paying attention to my community, because it's just, all you get is just these two things.
Right.
I want it exactly the same. Oh my God, I played this
I
before.
think the internet allows people to talk too much.
Like I said, it gives voice to people I never wanted to hear from. And they're talking
But there's
to
an
us
whole
all the
theory of
time.
internet douchebaggery where it's like, the time to someone turning into a total is like pretty quick when
Yeah.
there's
Right.
anonymous and no one knows who you are and all this stuff.
I don't even like to post that much anymore.
No, you know what?
Like we've become so inclined to overshare and to tell everybody everything, and sometimes I think about it and I'm like, I don't really want to do that. And then sometimes I feel obligated because I feel like if I drop off the internet for like 3 months, I will really drop off the face of the earth.
Well, and I have to say that about Twitter. People always say, "Why don't you Twitter more? Why don't you Twitter more?"
do you fucking say?
Do you people really want to know what I had for lunch? I don't. You know what I'm saying?
do.
Like,
Pine nuts, apparently.
I had tacos.
I know I saw.
Without pine nuts, though.
There were no pine nuts.
Oh, I thought there was
and
a
they
pine
were
nut at some point.
delicious. So I'm gonna start twittering tacos. Yum.
Yeah.
So much useless information.
Well, also,
It's
I
incredible.
remember back when I was young and trying to attract females, and there was always supposed to be the sense of mystery. Like, someone wants to go, I want to know more about him. And if you already know what lunch they had and you have yet to have a conversation, then maybe you're already past that point and it's not worth the effort. Mystery, everyone. Talking, I don't know, maybe we should tweet in Latin.
I think people probably think I'm a crazy cat lady from my. I'm not. It's just
No, you're crazy and you have cats.
Yeah.
And a lady. But
Yeah.
those three things do not
They're
work
not
in that kind of
necessarily
harmony.
together. Exactly.
So,
I just like to. Yeah, I'm very. I'm so busy doing mysterious things. That's why I don't Twitter more.
Yeah, I have to plot the demise of stuff.
I'm usually
Absolutely.
just working. I don't have time to do.
Yeah. Also, employment. We may, in theory, play games for a living, but games are long. Which means that we have to get back to doing that. Ha ha ha! So that's going to be it for this feedback. Kevin, thank you. Morgan, thank you. Abby, thank you. We'll be back next week. We're going to chat a little Madden with the pigskin and how I can't throw a football.
Oh,
Does that save
don't
you?
forget,
Never played football?
between now and then, we will be going to Dallas.
Oh,
Texas.
yes. Kevin and I are going to be at QuakeCon. I'm going to be moderating a panel. I asked them to call it the Super Awesome Panel of Awesomeness. It's not. It's called something about blockbusters, which is a completely reasonable title.
I don't know the real name, but mine is better.
It has Tim Willits from id, who's working on Rage. It has Todd Howard, not Holland's Head, who obviously is behind Fallout and Elder Scrolls. And we also have Vince Zampella and Jason West, now of Respawn Entertainment. We're going to be talking about sort of like what their creativity is like and what it means to kind of make these massive games that they seem to be making on a semi-regular basis. In the case of it takes about 10 years. But that's a fine thing. It's a fine thing. It's a fine thing. So check us out. Kevin will be in disguise. I'll probably have to be wearing bright yellow. Harass Kevin. Don't harass me. Enjoy yourselves at QuakeCon. If not, you'll hear about what happened on the next feedback.
Do you play World of Warcraft or one of its 1,000 clones? Do you know what a mob or pug is? Then you'll want to make sure to check out the MMO Report. It gives you all the massively multiplayer online news you could want in a neat little package named Casey Schreiner. Check out all new episodes every Thursday over at g4tv.com/MMO. You're welcome.